and then this, I probably should have put this a little bit earlier. This probably goes more with like the Alex Eubanks kind of discussion in general. But that this is to say the general discussion of manipulating or even straight up lying about stats online and to like come across a certain way. And I find like of course we're all going to post our best pictures, right? Obviously, there's certain pictures where like I don't unfortunately I don't get a lot of natty or not accusations, but there are some where you could say based on this lighting or this, but I try to be very honest about the stats because I don't want people to have that idea that like just because you look a certain way, it's always that time, right? So that's why I'm big on it. So I'll say like, hey, like right now I'm pretty small, so I'm 180 pounds, but I'm also pretty damn lean at this weight. I'll tell you like my arms slightly over 16 inches. Like I'll tell you the actual stats. And this is why I say like if you look at somebody who's like this height, this weight, they maybe are going to be a big person or they're not going to be a big person. Like you can just kind of base on that. So what I find that a lot of people do, in addition to just the lighting or whatever other manipulation, is, and I'm sure you guys have seen this too, they'll combine their best stats. So they'll say like, well, like let's say their best bench press ever was 350, but their leanest ever was 7%. And so they'll
Uh,
be like, yeah, so I'm like 7%, I bench 350, or they'll say their biggest arm size with a lighter weight. I just saw this guy who I followed him very briefly, Adam Frater, because he was like a calisthenics channel. I unsubscribed after like 2 weeks because it was just a lot of kind of douchey content, honestly. But he posted this picture and he was like, 6 foot, 180 pounds, and he was like peeled, peeled in this picture. And I'm like, so wait a minute, you're shorter than me, smaller than me, leaner than me, but you're the same weight as me. Something does not add up here, And again, I think it's just kind of combined. Have you guys seen this, or people kind of just again like they'll mention their best of everything?
yeah, I have. And it's one of those things where I was going to do a video explaining FFMI, so
Mhm.
fat-free mass index, which is your height, your weight, and your body fat percentage. And I thought it would be a really simple discussion. Height, that's straightforward. Weight, that's straightforward. So it's really just knowing your body fat percentage. Bing, bong, boom. It's just BMI and then take out the fat mass, right? Super simple. But then I realized, like, actually men lie about their height all the time. And I don't know if I think Arnold did at some point, and it's just very common, especially if someone's like close to 6 feet to bump themselves up,
Sure.
which actually ironically gives you a worse FFMI. So when you're
Right,
trying to
right.
maximize your
Yeah.
FFMI, it's like the one time
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
actually want to downplay that. Um, and then I also weight. People lie about their weight all the time. Like Mike Van Douche, whatever his name is, he was being asked by some guys to hop on the scale because he said he was 260 or something, and he did not look that big. And so he's like, "No, why do you want me to step on the scale?" And so some people lie about their weight as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe they took a bunch of drugs and then they got to a certain size and then they're forever 260 or they're forever 300 because they identify as the big guy. And so,
Mm.
people lie about their weight as well. And then body fat percentage, I mean, yeah, most people don't even have a clue anyway. So you see people who are like, I'm 26 FFMI, but I don't look that impressive. And I'm just
Right.
thinking, how did you mess this up so badly?
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
26 FFMI, you look like a freaking monster.
Yeah.
It just,
Or
there's
the
no way around
pictures
it. I
are when
mean,
they're shredded. They and we all do this. Like they'll post pictures from when they were shredded, but the
yeah,
lifting videos are they're bulked up lifting videos, right? So just that combination. And again, that's not always disingenuous. Sometimes it's just you post a picture because you have your thumbnails or whatever for the year, and now
yeah,
you're bulking. And like I'm not saying this is always with negative or ill intent. It's just something for people to
confusing.
be aware of.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
if it's a fat
confusing.
loss video, you're gonna post a lean picture, right? So you're not gonna post a picture of, let's say, I've tested this quite a lot on my channel. Like if I post a picture of me doing a pose that's more like a muscle lean pose, I'm bigger and I'm almost as lean, but it works better if I'm a relaxed lean for that video. Just the click-through rate is higher, and also
Yeah.
it attracts a different audience because not everybody wants to be as big, or doesn't really care about posing or muscle growth. But you're right on social media that the stats are totally skewed. Like, I mean, how many people are like walk around 200 plus pounds, 8%, 10% body fat? Like, where are these people? People lie about their body fat percentage straight up. They're saying they're 5, 6% body fat. Dude, you are not 5 to 6% body fat. Walking around like all year round, if you're one in like 10 million, maybe there's that
Yeah.
person that's genetically extremely blessed and an outlier. But the vast majority, what you see is 6, 7% is actually maybe 10 to 12.
Yeah.
And 15 is already very lean. I think people don't understand how lean 15% body fat actually is in someone who has muscle mass on them, who has any fair amount of muscle. Man, 15% body fat, you can see, like, if you have decent genetics, you can see maybe your entire six pack. Like, it's just, I mean, when I take off my shirt at 15%, like I'm very lean. Like, people would do, okay, what is this, right? But I'm
Yeah.
definitely not as lean as I am on 10, 12, right? Also the size, when I get down to, 10%, I've definitely noticed a drop in strength levels. I mean, there's certainly like less leverages are at a disadvantage. Like your bench, my bench definitely takes a big hit. My squat takes a big hit. RDL doesn't take a huge hit. Like RDL is kind of like stays up there to some extent, but my bench definitely, like, I feel like I'm just gonna get broken like by the bar. Like, it's just that you can't, like, you cannot do the same level of intensity. I have to drop a little bit, stay a bit further away from failure compared to now when I'm like a little bit more bulked up. Like, I do feel like I'm insulated, I'm more protected, I'm less injurious, I can push more, like mass moves mass, whatever you want to attribute to it. But definitely, if I try to bench 315 at my leanest, maybe I can do 1 rep. Like, now I can do 5, right? That's kind of like, and maybe at my current level. Back then I couldn't do that. It would definitely drop down to about 300-ish or so, maybe 295. So yes, there's definitely different strength levels, and people will lie about this, same as other metrics. Like, you'd be, I mean, how many people in the gym, and I've been to probably more than 100 gyms, how many people in the gym walk around with 20-inch arms?
Basically
Like,
nobody.
what
Yeah.
the hell are we? I mean, 20? Are you kidding me? Like, and you'd think like everybody is walking around, it's being jacked. Same as you get this impression that everybody's deadlifting 600 now. Dude, nobody's lifting 600. I promise you, in the average gym, like, unless you're in a powerlifting gym, nobody's doing 600 pounds on the deadlift, right? Like, who's deadlifting 600? Same as benching, 4 or 5. I seen it once in my gym. It was like I was passing by as a powerlifter, clearly enhanced, did 4 or 5 for a set of single, and that's it. Like, nobody's doing that much weight. So you kind of get this, in general, social media gives you this impression that everybody is more jacked than you, everybody's stronger than you, everybody's leaner and bigger than you, everybody is everything better than you.
Yeah.
Reality is much, much, much better for you. Like, when you realistically assess things, and you're probably fine. Like, if you've been training for 5 years, taking this seriously, following the advice that you hear, what we say here, and other people that are kind of like, the general stuff, you're getting stronger, you're probably fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. If you're not like, 10% body fat all year round, benching 315, squatting 4 or 5, deadlifting 500, like for reps, like, that's just, I mean, you're probably fine. Just
Yeah.
wanted to give people some like proof
Yeah,
that
no,
it's
for sure.
okay.
I just had Pack, Dr. Pack on the channel. We were talking about this because he had a freaky squat. I mean, at 21 years old, he squatted 600 pounds, which is just absurd and very, very, very rare. And he agrees with
That's
us on
crazy,
this.
man.
He
That's
agrees with
insane,
us.
dude. That is-
But, in my genetics video, I talk about how Candido had shockingly said that he feels that the most people can achieve a 500-pound squat with moderate training. Like, that's a pretty direct quote, and it's just like it's such a strong bias, right? Again, I said people always
Bro,
take
like,
their own bias. He has massive legs, great genetics for squat and deadlift, so it's hard for
Forceps.
people. Yeah, yeah. So it's hard for people to separate that, but obviously, no, that's very clearly not true. But yeah, it is tough because you do realize, like, when you look in the real world, and again, I haven't been to nearly as many gyms as you, Mario, but certainly dozens of gyms. I mean, I think I've seen one 405-pound bench. Again, huge guy, very likely enhanced. I mean, it's an exceptionally rare thing. 315, you see people do 315,
yeah, we'll see
but
315.
not 405.